So we're back with more Marvel Legends from the Kingpin wave. I've finally been able to round it all out, and today we're taking a look at one of the two figures that I was able to get thanks to Hasbro Pulse rising from the ashes of Hasbro Toy Shop, and that would be Silver Sable, so one of our two female figures in this wave. We've got her here in the standard Marvel Legends packaging. You can see her there in the window, Spider-Man logo down on the bottom. We've got some artwork on the side, and then the back has product shots, cross-sell, Build-A-Figure, little bio, the whole 9 yards. So let's do it. Let's pull her out and take a look. And here she is out of the package, Silver Sable. I'm not too sure about this one. This one's throwing me for a loop a little bit because I kind of like it, and at the same time, I kind of don't. I've seen and read other reviews, so I have maybe a preconceived notion going into this of what other people think, but frankly, maybe it's my nostalgia for this character, because for some reason I just read a tremendous amount of books that had Silver Sable in it as a kid. So maybe this is, finally a character that I never thought we would see in figure form that we've got in figure form. That's not to say she's perfect by any means. There are a few gripes here and there, but we'll get to those. So let's kickstart this review off with Articulation, as always. See what she can do. I don't think anybody's going to be surprised here. So we will start at the head, and you can go backwards ever so slightly. Of course, she does have a full head of hair, so that always complicates things. She can go down pretty far. It does, of course, make her look kind of wonky on the backside. You can rotate side to side. It's a standard ball hinge. Arms go out, they rotate. We've got a swiveling and hinging elbow about 90 degrees, and then you've got hinges and rotation at the wrist. She's got an upper diaphragm twist, goes backwards pretty decently, forwards pretty decently, and thankfully the stripe on the chest is painted all the way through, so there's no gappage there. And then she has a little tilt side to side. Of course, there's no waist twist. Legs go out to the side a little bit, kick forward, kick back, thigh cut, double jointed knees, and then you've got no boot cut, as is the case with pretty much every female. Then you've got rocker hinge down at the ankles. So she is, for all intents and purposes, the same kind of female figure you have seen for a very long time now, but she gets the job done for the most part. I haven't really had any issues putting her into, mostly dynamic poses, and she can stand still in a pretty intimidating pose as well just fine. Now, as far as the overall look and feel of this figure, that's really where my interest mostly lies, just because she is very much a 90s type of Silver Sable. Not 100%, but she is pretty close to that 90s Sable look, and that does it for me. That really works. Kind of hits on the nostalgia for me there. She does have a lot of different colors going on here, which I know seems counterintuitive because she is Silver Sable, but that isn't necessarily untrue to her character, but it does kind of throw me off when I'm looking at her from time to time. So she has the kind of metallic gray bodysuit, and I know that sounds like that should just be silver, but it's definitely not. There is a metallic gray for the molded parts for the arms, the torso, the legs, the chest, and it's almost got a hint of blue in it. It's very faint, but it's definitely there. You've got metallic marbled plastic, which we see a lot in Legends, on her gloves and her forearms and her hands, which is different than the plastic for her belt and her pouches. It's kind of just a flat gray. The boots down here, well, what would be boots if they had sculpted stuff like that, which I really wish they would, but they aren't going to. We've got a kind of a flatter silver, if that makes sense. Honestly, it kind of blends in a little too much with the body. I wish it stood out a little more, kind of like what's on her chest. So you've got the very, very metallic, almost kind of chrome color that's going on the abdomen and the chest and the arms. It's cleanly applied for the most part. There is a splotch here and there, but overall I think it looks pretty decent. I think the body works well for her. I do like the fact that we have the harness for just to beef her up a bit, like an ammo pack here and there, and you can see that it just kind of wraps around her body. It's that same kind of plastic that we see on her belt and her pouches. So in general, I think she looks okay from the neck down. There is definitely some stuff to talk about with that head, but overall the body works well enough. The colors are pretty good. I do wish that the boots maybe matched a little bit better to the chest color in terms of that metallic silver overlay, but for the most part the different finishes are okay, if not a little jarring from time to time, just because you kind of want her to be silver, but at the end of the day that's not exactly what she's supposed to look like. It just kind of throws me off, but the paint is decently applied, and then we do have a lot of that marbly plastic, which while it does look kind of weird, especially under really bright lights, I do actually like that look. The head, though, is where I kind of lose a little bit of that classic 90s look. Something about this face is really, really odd. It's mostly the jawline. It's definitely really boxy, and it seems to go way back into her head. And frankly, it does look a little different to what's on the back of the box. It's hard to tell because that figure is definitely at an angle and it's under specific lighting, so that could just be some trickery there, but it definitely looks a little different to me. I do, however, really dig the hair on this figure. I love the white hair with the kind of gray, it's almost a gray-blue wash in there, and it definitely works. It's not quite 90s because frankly it'd be down to her butt if it was, but it's pretty close. I do like the bandana that wraps around her forehead. It's that same kind of chrome, really metallic paint that you've got on the chest. The rest of the facial features are really cleanly applied. Eyebrows are straight, eyes are good, lips are nice and tight there. What's really the issue is just the sculpt. I think it's almost too manly, if that makes sense. Don't get me wrong, she is a very hard-edged female Marvel character, but she shouldn't look like that. Like her jawline just goes way back into her head. Something about that really throws me off. Otherwise, I do like the head sculpt outside of that fact. Mostly that's being saved by the hair because that is quintessential Silver Sable, but at the same time, there's definitely something weird going on up there. Now for accessories, we've got two guns here, and these are guns we've seen a few times already. These are the guns that I think they first came with Domino. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong. I know we've seen them with one of the Deadpools recently as well, but these are those kind of futuristic Nerf guns, basically, and they're okay. I would much rather her have more real-world type of guns, but at the same time, in the comics, she does come from a fairly advanced country, so it kind of makes sense that she would have some sort of techno, guns, and they're okay. They definitely fit her theme for the most part, but at the end of the day, I'd rather have something more rooted in the real world. So you can kind of take it or leave it. It's more of a your mileage may vary type of situation there. They're sculpted well enough for the goofy kind of guns they are, but I would still rather prefer something different. So overall, I find myself enjoying this figure slightly more than I had expected, honestly. I really went into this figure expecting to not like it, but overall, I don't really have too many gripes outside of the fact that I think that her guns are wonky because I just don't really like these guns. They do kind of fit her, but I'd still rather have something else. And then at the end of the day, that head sculpt is definitely kind of wonky. There is something a little too boxy about those jawlines, something a little too masculine down there. So it's interesting. It kind of leaves a little to be desired. Frankly, the hair sculpt really saves this figure for me because that hair definitely works. It's got great paint apps in there, great wash, and in general, I'm sure there's a lot of nostalgia doing this for me. So, your mileage may vary in how much you really care about this character, but for some reason, I'm glad to actually have a Silver Sable. So that's going to do it for this look at the Marvel Legends Kingpin Wave Silver Sable figure. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.